Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Father, we just thank you for this night that you've given us. We thank you for this place that we have where we can come and meet together and seek your face, oh God. Father, I just thank you tonight that this room is full of people who are hungry for you and who want to see you move in their lives. And Father, we just declare here in this place our need for you. You're the reason why we're here, and if we have you, then we have everything. So Father, we just give you this time in Jesus' name, and we open up our hearts to receive from you. So come and move upon your people tonight, Jesus, as we sing your praise, as we enter into your courts and your gates with thanksgiving on our lips. And we enter into your courts with a song of praise tonight to declare your goodness in our city and your faithfulness to the nations. You are holy, God, and thank you, Father, for all that you're doing and all that you've done and all that you're about to do. We give you praise here in this place. In Jesus' name, and everyone said, Amen. Amen. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Lord, we thank you. Lord, we thank you. You are good. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Come on, let's sing that again. Amazing grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Amazing grace. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. But now I see. 'Cause you saved me, Lord. Oh, now I see. Now I see. You are my hope, Lord. You are my life, Lord. You are my hope. Thank you, Lord. No one else can love you like I love you, Lord. As I was made unique in your, I was made to bring you joy. No one else can love you like I love you, Lord. As I was made unique in your, I was made to bring you joy. To bring you joy. To bring you joy. To bring you joy. Now I have a purpose. Now I have a destiny. made me for your glory. You made me for your glory. Now I have a purpose. Now I have a destiny. You made me for your glory. You made me for your glory, Lord. For your glory, Lord. Hey. Oh, Lord, yeah. For your glory, Lord. Hey, sing it again. Now I have a purpose. Now I have a destiny. You made me for your glory. You made me for your glory. Now I have a purpose. Now I have a destiny. You made me for your glory. You made me for your glory. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah, hallelujah. We sing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hey! I was made for, 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 I was made for love. I was made for, 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 I was made for love, yeah. Hey.
I just feel like God's inviting us to let loose. Let loose and dance for Him. Let loose and dance for Him. There's power in the dance. There's power in the dance. I was made for love. I was made for. I was made for. I was made for. I was made for love. I was made for. I was made for. I was made for. I was made for. For love. One more time. I was made for love. I was made for. I was made for. I was made for. I was made for. I was made for love. One more time. I was made for. 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 I was made for love. Just the drums. I was made for. 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 I was made for, I was made for love. Yeah. And brick by brick, and praise by praise, you're making your resting place. And brick by brick, and praise by praise, you're making my resting place. And brick by brick, and praise by praise, you're making my heart your resting place. Brick by brick, and praise by brick, making my heart a resting. No one else, so no one else can love you like I love you, Lord. 'Cause I was made unique in your, I was made to bring you joy. No one else, no one else can love you like I love you, Lord. 'Cause I was made unique in your, I was made to bring you joy. One more time. No one else can love you like I love you, Lord. 'Cause I was made unique in your heart. I was Here we made go. To bring you joy. Sing joy. Bring you joy. Just the drums. Now I have. Now I have a purpose. Now I have a destiny. You made me for your glory. You made me for your glory. Now I have a purpose. Now I have a destiny. You made me for your glory. You made me for your glory. Now I have a purpose. Now I have a destiny. You made me for your glory.
for your glory, Lord. We're for your glory, Lord. For your glory, Lord. One more time. Now I have a purpose. Now I have a destiny. Now I have a purpose. Yeah. Now I have a now I have a purpose. Now I have a destiny. You made me for your glory. You made me for your glory. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Moving over the water, Spirit, come move over us. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. As the Spirit was moving over the water, Spirit, come move over us. Come rest on us. Come rest on us tonight. We are here for you. We are here for you. So come rest on us tonight. Lord, we are here for you. We are here for you. As the Spirit was moving, as the Spirit was moving over the water, Spirit, come move over us. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. As the Spirit was moving over the water, Spirit, come move over us. Come rest on us. Come rest on, come. So come down. Spirit, when you move, you make my heart pound. When you fill the room, you're here and I know you are moving. I'm here and I know you will feel me. Come down. Spirit, when you move, you make my heart pound. When you fill the room, you're here and I know you are moving. I'm here and I know you will feel me. 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 Let heaven on end come rest on us. Come rest on us. Fire and wind, come and do it again. Open up the gates, let heaven on end come rest on us. Come rest on, come. So come down. Spirit, when you move, you make my heart pound. When you fill the room, you're here and I know you are moving. I'm here and I know you will feel me. Calm down. Spirit, when you move, you make my heart pound. When you fill the room, you're here and I know you will feel me. I'm here and I know you will feel me. You're all we want. We're here for you. We're here for you. We're waiting here for you. Waiting here for you. We're waiting here for you. Waiting here for you. We wait for you. We wait. Thank you, Lord. We wait for you. And we wait for you. We wait for you. Oh, we wait for you. And here for you. We here for you. We wait 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 for you. All we want. You're all we want. You're all we want. You're all we want. Lord, you're all we want. You're all we want. You're all we want. You're all we want. Oh, it's you we adore, singing hallelujah. And it's you we adore, singing hallelujah. We're waiting here for you. With our hands lifted high in praise, and it's you we adore, singing hallelujah. We're waiting here for you. With our hands lifted high in praise, and it's you we adore, singing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. Spirit. Holy Spirit, come rest on us. You're all we want. You're all we want. Holy Spirit, come rest on us. You're all we want. You're all we want. Say it one more time. Holy Spirit, come rest on us. You're all we want. You're all one more time. Holy Spirit, come rest on us. You're all we want. You're all we want. Holy Spirit, come rest on us. You're all we want. You're all we want.
Don't stop, don't stop. This is what heaven sounds like. Holy Spirit. We don't care about switching the song. All we want is the Holy Ghost. We want the Holy Ghost. Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit.
I want to know you. Let your spirit overwhelm me. Let your presence overtake
My heart.
I want to know you. Let your spirit overwhelm me. Let your presence overtake my heart. And I want to know you. Let your spirit overwhelm me. Let your presence overtake my heart. And I want to know you. Let your spirit overwhelm me. Let your presence overtake my heart.
I want to know that your spirit overwhelm me. That your presence overtake my heart. You're getting it, you're getting it. You're sounding like heaven. Keep going, keep going, keep going. That's it. Oh, one more time. You can do better. Come on. Hey. You are the miracle working God. You are a miracle working God. You are a miracle working God. You're the same every day. 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 You're still rolling stones away. You're the same every day. You're the same every day. You're the same every day. You're still rolling stones away. You're the same. You're the same every day. You're the same every day. You're still rolling stones away. You're the same every day. You're the same every day. You're the same every day.
You're still rolling stones
You
away.
stood outside my grave with tears still on your face. I heard you say my name. My night was turned today. One more time. You stood outside. You stood outside my grave with tears still on your face. I heard you say my name. My night was turned today. I knew that you would come. You said, my heart you woke up. I'm not afraid. I see your face. I am alive. You came. I knew that you would come. I knew that you would come. Verse 2. You said there's only sleeping. With one word, my heart stuck beating. I rose up from the grave. My fears will turn to faith. You came. I knew that you would come. You said, my heart he woke up. I'm not ashamed. I see your face. I am alive. You came. I knew that you would come. I knew that you would come. It's that same man. It's that same man. You're a miracle working God. You are a miracle working God. You are a miracle working God. You are a miracle working God. You're the same every day. You're the same every day. You're the same every day. You're still always. You're the same every day. You're the same every day. You're the same every day. You're working, miracle working God. You are a miracle working God. You are a miracle working God. I know you are a miracle working. One more time. You are a miracle working God. You are a miracle working God. You are a miracle working God. Singing, oh soul, brace yourself, prepare to be made whole. Oh soul, brace yourself, prepare to be made whole. One more time. Oh soul, brace yourself, prepare to be made whole. Oh hail, oh hail King Jesus. Oh hail the Lord of heaven. Oh, hail King Jesus. Oh, hail the Savior of the world. He's the Savior of the world. He's the one we worship, one we adore. You are, and His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. Name above all names. Name of Jesus. Oh, hail King Jesus. Oh, hail the Lord of heaven and earth. Oh, hail King Jesus. Oh, hail the Savior of the earth. Oh, hail King Jesus. Oh, hail the Lord of heaven and earth. Oh, hail King Jesus. Oh, hail the Savior of the world. Savior of the world. Savior of the world.
Worship the Lord right where you are. Just lift your hands to Him and just start worshiping Him. He's the King. He is worthy. He is worthy. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, King Jesus. Oh, you're the healer. We love you, Lord. We love you. We love you. Just begin to honor Him. Just begin to honor Him with your own words, right where you are.
Oh, hail King Jesus. Oh, hail the Lord of heaven and earth. Oh, hail King Jesus. Oh, hail the Savior of the world. Oh, hail King Jesus. Oh, hail the Lord of heaven and earth. Oh, hail King Jesus. Oh, hail the Savior of the world. The Savior of the world. confess that He is Lord. Lift up your shout. Let us join with all of heaven, singing, holy. Join with singing, holy. We're shouting, holy. Singing, holy. The Lord is holy. He is holy.
Holy, holy.
Our King is holy.
Yes, He is. Yes, He is.
Forever holy.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord. Just you might have to help me out, but you said something this morning that worship is all about Him, but He has a knack of turning it and making it all about you. Amen. Like He starts when He zones in on you, and we've taken our time and started worshiping. Am I saying it right? Yeah, worshiping the Lord, and then all of a sudden He just turns it on us, and He's not worshiping us, but He's blessing us in His presence, Lord God, changing us, healing us, transforming us, creating a new heart in us. It's like, wow, man, you put it, I've never heard it said that way before, but it's just like, that's what He does all the time. Hallelujah. So if we're doing it right, we have the presence of the Lord with us at all the times. Amen. Say, I'm happy to be in the house of the Lord tonight. I'm happy to be in His presence tonight. Amen. Hallelujah. So, Father, we thank you, Lord God, that you care so much for us. You sent your Son to die for us and to live for us so that we can enjoy your presence, Lord God. It's not just about bringing us to heaven, it's about bringing heaven to earth. And we thank you for that, Lord God. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Blessed be the name of the Lord. So holy, so holy. Thank you, Jesus. Let's just hold this posture for a second here. Kelsey, we have a prayer request. And in this posture that we have right now, I want Kelsey to lead us. She has a friend that's got some major stuff going on, and so we're going to have her lead us in prayer, because this is a great time. Just come up here and explain what's happening.
Good evening, everybody. My very, very dear sister in the Lord, Anya, her mom's name is Nadia, and so she was having some oral work done, and a biopsy was done, and so because it was suspicious, and so it came back as cancerous, oral cancer, and they said that it's gotten into the bone, and they're concerned that it's stage 4 cancer, and so they're going to be doing some more tests and everything, and so she's asked me, and Pastor Terry has given us his blessing to pray as a body for this woman, Nadia, believing that there will be a good report. So, Father, I thank you that you are so good. Father, I thank you that you are Jehovah Rapha. I thank you, Lord, that you are the God of miracles, that you are seated on the throne. I thank you, Jesus, that all authority under heaven has been given to you, and you've placed us and given us, Lord, just this right to bind, Lord, what is not of you. Lord, we lift Nadia to you right now. We ask you, Lord, to move mightily upon this woman's body. In Jesus' name, we release your healing, Lord. Every single cancer cell, we stand together as a body and we bind this. We command every cancer cell to leave that body now. In Jesus' name. It has no place in this body. Lord, just every cell that is not of you, it must leave right now. We cut it off at the roots.
Yes.
And Lord, we ask you, Lord, from the very top of her head, Lord, to the soles of her feet, heal and restore. Touch this body, Lord. We thank you. We proclaim your victory. We proclaim just what you have done on the cross, Lord. We thank you, Jesus, that by your wounds we are healed. Then I also just feel that we should pray for every single person who connected to this place who has a report of cancer.
Yes.
So maybe if we just want to pray in the spirit and just lift those names.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Anybody you can think of, any loved one that's struggling with cancer right now? If you're in this place and you're struggling with cancer, we want to pray for you.
Amen.
Declare
Thank you,
healing
Jesus.
over you right now. Just pray in the Spirit. Lift it up a little bit. Cancer, go in the name of Jesus. Cancer, go in the name of Thank you, Jesus. Cancer, go. Cancer, go. Eradicate cancer in the name of Jesus, in the body of Christ.
Lord, we thank you for good reports coming out of this space. In Jesus' name.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Father, thank you. Justin preached a message called I Will Remember. And to remember the great things that God has done in our lives and to our loved ones. And I was just thinking, just as we were praying for this lady, and that they visibly could see something on her gum that was like suspicious, and they found out it was cancer. I remember we were, as a family, as a body, we were praying for Amanda, Trevor's daughter. She had inflammation of the brain, and one side of her skull was off, and then they had to take the other side of the skull off because there was so much pressure. And as they were working on her, they seen the inflammation disappeared from her brain right in front of their eyes. Praise the Lord. Amen. So we're just praying for visible things like that, Lord, right now in Jesus' name. Father, as they look at the scans, that they'd see things disappear in the name of Jesus, right before their very eyes, Lord God. And their report would change in the twinkling of an eye, in Jesus' name. Father, we thank you for the time that we live in, Lord God, for the time of greater things, in Jesus' name. Father, we thank you that you personally have eradicated cancer in the body of Christ. And we receive that right now in Jesus' name. If you haven't got any suspicious stuff going on in your body, just reject it right now in the name of Jesus. We cancel it. We cancel this cancer in the name of Jesus. In the mighty name of Jesus. I don't know what I feel. I feel like saying this. We cancel the cancer culture in our nation. That people say, well, everybody's got. We just cancel that right now in the name of Jesus. Anything that's been man-made, everything that's been devil-made, we rebuke it right now in the name of Jesus. All tumors would dry up and shrink in the mighty name of Jesus. We have a kingdom culture, not a cancer culture. The kingdom culture overrules every other culture in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord God, for all our loved ones right now that are just being touched by the power of God. In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. How about we just give the Lord an applaud right now and thank him for what he is doing. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be the name of the Lord. So good. Yeah, give him a shout. Go ahead. Come on. La, 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 la. Hallelujah. Woo. Yahweh. Yeah. Yes, Lord. Yeah. Woo. Wow. We just about went into an explosion. There's going to be one here right away, and before the end of the service, there's going to be an explosion of the Holy Ghost. Amen. Praise the Lord. So we got a word we got to share tonight. There's no question about it. We got a couple other things we want to do. So why don't you greet somebody that's here, and let's thank the worship team again for the beautiful job. Come on, you guys. Come on, let's thank our worship team, guys. Oh, they got sidetracked. Everybody got lost there. I'll wait till they're done shaking hands. Can't shake hands in Canton. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Praise the Lord. Welcome. Hallelujah. I'll just put this here for a second. Thank you, Jesus. Just a couple announcements. I'm going to get over them real quick because we got lots to do. Remember, Tara is going to be speaking at Aglow, Saskatchewan, here on the Tuesday, this coming Tuesday at 2 p.m. at 701 First Street East, Pathway Revival Center. Amen. Where is Tara? Is she here? Yeah, I seen her. I just seen her. Oh, there she is back there. Tara, come here, quick. For those of you who don't know her, this is Tara.
Hi, guys.
You're going to share this Tuesday?
Yeah, it's going to be lots of just words of encouragement and just scriptures. It's going to be, well, Linda's going to throw a couple questions at me, but it's just going to be a flow with the Holy Ghost. Mostly just scriptures and words of encouragement.
Amen.
Amen.
So, a few months ago, you read the entire Bible in 3 months?
Yeah, Isaiah Saldivar and his wife, they did the 90-day Bible reading challenge. I think it was on September 1st, and the Lord was preparing me for that. Last summer, I read the book of Psalms and then Revelation, and that was like a nice little warm-up. And then, so when Isaiah and his wife posted on his YouTube channel about it, I was like, wow, and she's a stay-at-home mother. So I was like, well, if she can do it, I can do it, And so I was like, Lord, even if I fall back a few days, I'm going to be finished at the 90 days. Because I was working at the time, so I'd read at nighttime. And then there were some days where I fell back 3-4 days. But the Lord's like, just keep going. And I was like, just keep going. And so I finished on the 90th day.
Yeah,
and then,
here.
Yeah, the Revelation, I wrapped it up here before, I think it was a Wednesday night church service, or Sunday. Yeah. And it was really good. And actually, when I was reading, I seen a lot of scriptures that Pastor Terry read over the past years. And I'm like, oh, that's where he got that from. Or I've heard that before, and Pastor Terry read it. So it was pretty good. And it's just supernaturally, your eyes just be opened, And it just gives you, and as you're going, just highlight what stands out, because it's kind of you just keep going, and then you can go back. Amen.
Amen. So you weren't always a Bible reader, though.
No, I don't really care for reading books. People always try to give me Bible book, not Bible books, but Yeah, those books. They're on my bookshelf. But like, I don't know. I just find like I don't mind when people bless me with books, but a lot of time I probably won't like read them. But no, but the Bible, just keep reading. And yeah.
Yeah. So I remember, I just feel like just going on here a little bit. I remember when you first started coming here, you were in a doctor's office, were you? And you seen a magazine with a card sticking out of it?
Yeah, with the paper pamphlets and brochures at the walk-in clinic on 22nd Street. And then I gave my life a week before that at, I think it was Bridge International Ministries.
Yeah.
I went with someone I knew who, because I'd never been to church in my life. I didn't know about this man named Jesus because I'm First Nation, so I grew up like the traditional way. And I was just taught to be against the church. But I was like nothing satisfied, I was searching, and we're all longing and searching. There was such a big void, and money, nothing satisfied. Relationships, like nothing, filled that void within my heart. And then she's like, Tara, like there's this man named Jesus. And I was just like, I was really against the church, because I'm like, oh, that's white man, you know what I mean? But when I walked in here that following Sunday, because there's hundreds of churches, so I was like, Lord, like, oh, not Lord, but I was like, hey, God, like, Jesus, if you're real, help me find a church that I can go to where I can, like, rock my sweatpants, just wear whatever you want, come as you are, you know what I mean? You don't have to keep it polished. But I walked in that following Sunday, and so I came with my son, and when I walked in, I felt the presence of the Lord. This was like, I think, July 2019. I walked in, and I felt this presence. I didn't know at the time what that was, but when I walked in, and I seen Pastor Terry and Shelley right here, and they were just glowing, and it was a pretty sunny day that day, and I walked down the aisle, and I was like, this is going to be my church, and Pastor Terry's like, oh, well, right on, like, welcome. And then I remember I had like this like little, I don't know if it was like a little, like the classic New Testament Bible, or Old Testament. I don't know, I came with it, but you...
Probably new, yeah.
Yeah, and then so he gave me a fresh Bible and NLT, and then so that was like pretty good, and just being really plugged in with like, because there's so many great things here, like the Armory. There's something for everybody. It was everyone's schedule, so just get really plugged into a group, and don't isolate at home, but just really connect with the body. Yeah, and just don't let like offense and things like that trip you up, or get offended and never come to church again, but just power through, press through, and just really cling to the body, because we're all a family. Yeah.
Amen. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. So, Tuesday at 2 p.m. at Pathway Revival Center. So make sure you go see that. It's going to be powerful. And she never finished that story, but that little business card, somebody threw a business card in the pamphlets and one of my business cards, and seen this, had the address on, so I'm going to try this church. So that's how she ended up here. Praise the Lord. Amen. Wow. Okay. So anyway, I got a guest here. He's gonna share with us a little bit. The bishop is here. Bishop Romy is here, and Bishop, he travels around Saskatchewan and dedicated all the cities in Saskatchewan to the Lord, right? You're all done with the cities, right now? Yeah. How many small towns? 9 smaller communities that aren't cities. He dedicated them. So he travels around the province of Saskatchewan and dedicates cities and towns to the Lord. Praise the Lord. And like, that's amazing to me. And so anyway, they got a prayer gathering coming up. I want him to come and share. Let's welcome Bishop Romy as he comes.
Praise God.
Praise the Lord, brother. Can we have that poster?
Before I share this, I saw and shake my hands to Pastor Terry during the Priory Revival at Faith Alive. And beginning that day, I was trying to visit your place, Asinabua, because I saw that God has something in his life. But I failed to visit, and one day I heard that he took over this place. I came in this place twice with evangelist Max many years ago. And so 15 minutes Why 11th annual prayer? This para church, by the way, our church is CAM, C-A-M, CAM, PAM, CAM, Christ Ambassadors Mission Church. So this para church, Filipino-Canadian Ambassadors for Christ of Saskatchewan, was a response to the prophetic call of God in Saskatchewan. Next slide, please. Why Phil Cox? On December 8, 2008, at exactly 12:32 p.m., I was in the basement of Center Mall on 8th Street. And I was asking the Lord because last week of November, I was crying going to Regina in a blowing snow. I left my son and wife because it's very bad situation. And I was crying inside the van somewhere in Davidson. And I asked the Lord if this is the province that we need to live with my family. And I heard an audible voice. I believe that was the voice of the governor of God's kingdom, the Holy Spirit, that you have a role in the coming revival. Next slide, please. The revival that prophesied by Cindy Jacobs in March 3, 2004 in Red Deer. Next slide, please. I pick up some important here. Look at the prophetic word. And you are part of this. Christ the Healer Church. The words was very clear. I highlighted the red one, the red highlighted. I'm going to completely reform the government of Saskatchewan. I'm going to put in a premier that have a Joseph anointing, for there will be great wealth in that province. 2007, that was fulfilled. I saw it with Brad Wall. I'm not a politician, but I pray for politician. I'm going to put up, so the next one is, the Lord says, I am going to revamp. So there are two important, very radical word that God wanted to do: completely reform and revamp. He will overhaul this land of Saskatchewan. Not the land literally, but the government, including us. But the big question is, can God do that without using us? It is impossible. When I heard this prophetic word, and I heard that voice of the Holy Spirit, we decided to stay in Saskatchewan. Supposedly, we will go back to Calgary. And December 2005, and in 2008, 3 years of prayer, 2009, 2010, 2011. During my birthday of 2011, November 17, I intentionally invited 4 people, my wife and my worship leader. So we were 7 in Peter this restaurant. And I shared the vision because God, one moment, another one. One slide, please, another slide. So another word of, in that prophetic word was, I'm going to bring twice the harvest. It was fulfilled 2013. But the exciting challenge of the Lord is in the last words. But there will be revival in Saskatchewan. There will be great and mighty moving of the Spirit and miracles, signs and wonders. Christ the Healer Church, without doubt, you have a great role for this. So how Phil Cox came to me? Next slide, please. That was, Pastor Terry was there. How Phil Cox conceived in my heart, Filipino-Canadian. So when I received that word, I was praying in that basement. the Lord reminded me 2 Corinthians 5:20, we're Christ ambassadors. And I said to the Lord, Lord, yes, I know that when I became born again. And suddenly, the Lord reminded me the role of the Philippines in 1939. There was no country in Asia who accepted 1,300 Jewish people who victimized by Holocaust, only the Philippines. And in 1947, the representative of the Philippines in United Nations voted yes that Israel to become an independent state. The same with Canada, who in favor for the partition of the land. 1947, I googled a while ago. There's a lot of country did not support, but Canada supported. So in that basement, the word conceived to my heart, Filipino-Canadian Ambassadors for Christ of Saskatchewan. During the time, I was confused because, Lord, I don't have any connection yet to the Canadian, pastors, whatever. I was thinking that me, because I'm Canadian citizen and Filipino citizen too. But 2013, January 15, during the Saskatoon Evangelical Ministers Fellowship prayer in corner of 18th Street and South, there is a church there, All Nation. While we were joining together in prayer, the Holy Spirit reminded me, not only for Filipinos, that is for everybody who are living in Canada. So Filipino-Canadian Ambassadors for Christ of Saskatchewan. Honestly speaking, this para-church was opposed and sabotaged by many people from the city. Because the question was, why are you praying for government leaders? And I said, 1 Timothy 2, verse 1 to 4, it was commanded by the Holy Spirit to pray. Not only that, why we are dedicating places. The Lord brought me in 2 Chronicles 7, 15 and 16. Because in verse 14, if my people, can I see the hands of all God's people here? If my people, I will call, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn away from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, I will forgive their sins, and I will heal Saskatchewan. When I came to Saskatchewan in 2004, I asked many Canadians, why is it that Saskatchewan is very poor? People moving out after graduation. And they said, because of political situation. But when I received this revelation, actually it is very hard. 3 years of prayer before we launch. And when we launched in Regina, Patricia Fraser, the chairman of Saskatchewan House of Prayer, supported us. But my own people, when I see my own people, my own community, sabotage. This is live. Thank you if they will watch this. It was sabotage, this organization. But I saw with my two eyes. So in verse 15 and 16, the promise of the Lord. Now, this is now exciting. Why we dedicated place? Why we dedicated places? The revelation last year, the revelation of the Lord is very clear. The moment you dedicate to me person, family, house, car, anything, my eyes, my heart, my name will be there. Praise God. 2 years now, 2 years. That our province have a surplus. 2022, we received $500 because of surplus. 2023, supposedly, we will be receiving again, but the government decided to pay our debt. $1 billion plus. This coming Wednesday, I was invited to join the budget address who am I to be there? I was invited by 2 MLAs to, last October 25, I was there also listening to the governor. I don't know, but my passion is because God loves nation. The nation is composed of provinces. Provinces are composed of cities and towns are composed of community, and community composed of family. You are here, Christ the Healer Church. You have a great role. And I was praying if who could support me, even few people, during this dedicating place and prayer for once a year. And praise God, Pastor Terry was with us 2018 with our premiere. And last year, supposedly inside the legislative building, it was approved already. But 3 days prior to the event, one of the MLA passed away, so it was canceled, and we moved to that Holiday Inn. And with humility from our young ministry, thank you so much for your, can I mention the figure? Your support? 2,000 Canadian dollar you supported during this event last year. So we covered the expenses. This year, can we go back to the first slide? This year, we decided to hold in Saskatoon Inn. Saskatoon Inn, supposedly because of security reason, because we will be inviting our premier. But this last few days ago, the itinerary coordinator responded that because, I believe, because of security reason, so he will be not coming. But praise God, because in Saskatoon Inn, we will shake the kingdom of Satan through prayer. And I was amazed about that song a while ago. So I talked to this beautiful keyboardist, can you come? Because our music team from North Battleford, they cannot come because of schedule, of job. But praise be to God, Pastor Terry supported me. And so this is what PhilCax is all about. We dedicated all the cities, 16, how many cities? 16 cities. 3 reserved. And 9 towns now, since 2013 up to this last year. So we are continually doing this. If there is contact person, for example, this small town, there is a contact person that he wanted to represent his town, we will go there. We will go there because that is the call. We will do that because of the call. See the word call. The call of God is irrevocable. And I believe it's one of you was called by the Lord because according to Pastor Terry, they started 4 people in this place. 4 people. Look at lots of people now. It is not an accident. I just want to encourage you. It is not an accident that you are here in this place. You have a great role for the enlargement of God's kingdom in this province, especially in this city. The most populated and the most progressive city, but there are a lot of challenges in the city. So continue to pray, and thank you so much. My name again is Romy Kuse. Praise the Lord.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Bless you. So anyway, I had him come up here because we're going to take part in this prayer meeting in Saskatoon at the Saskatoon Inn and Conference Center. And so that is the 30th. March 30th at 1:30 p.m. And is there anybody that wants to join us? Because we need to kind of have some numbers. Just put your hands up if you want to join. Yeah, there you go. Prayer team, yeah. So we'll probably, I would say we probably have about 20 people come with you, okay? So praise the Lord. And we went last year to Regina. It was awesome. And anybody that wants to take on that political monster in prayer has got my vote. Amen? Because that's if we don't pray And we don't do what God called us to do. I can't open my... Is this mine?
Interesting question.
Huh. I don't know if this is mine. Anyway, I need my iPad. It's not... I thought I had it here. I brought it down, but check. So anyway, we'll pray. I can't get nothing out of this thing. Oh, there we go. Just wait. Yeah, it's got to be mine. There, I got it. Praise the Lord. Thanks, Shelley. Praise the Lord. It's one of those Malox moments. You wonder, some of you younger people wouldn't even know what that means. But anyway, so I want to thank you, Romy, for doing that and going to all. Let's just thank the Lord for him. Yeah. Hallelujah. I think it's amazing that a Filipino had to come to Canada to do something a Canadian was supposed to do. And people get upset, like I can just imagine how many people were mad at you for praying for the political establishment. But we're supposed to be in there. Amen? Yes. We're going to take the kingdom. If we're going to take the kingdom, we got to take the political arena too. Amen? So that's all for that for now. But anyway, so make sure you guys let me know for sure who's coming. Text me, email me, do whatever to let us know when we're going to do that. March 30th at 1:30. Amen? And also remember next Saturday, 8 o'clock in the morning, we're starting our 24-hour worship. Praise the Lord. There we go. It's March 23rd till March 24th. Amen? 8 a.m., 24 hours. So you're all welcome to join that. Amen? So if you got do you need more musicians? Or how are we doing? Yeah, if you want to come and help out, talk to Carla. Amen. And Charlie, a couple sound guys and security. Yeah, security. Well, I'll figure out the security. I'll take care of that. Okay. So anyway, hallelujah. So I'm ready. Are you ready to receive the word tonight? Praise the Lord. Activation of the Holy Spirit. This is an interesting thing that happened this morning. As we started the service and we're in worship, we had like an altar call. Katie come and gave a word. And then all of a sudden I said, I'm going to be sharing this word tonight. And actually I wasn't going to share that till Wednesday. This activation of the Holy Spirit. I wasn't going to share it till Wednesday, but I just felt the urgency to share it tonight. Because what was going on this morning, we could have went like this morning. It was incredible in here. I don't know if you weren't here and you missed it, it's too bad, but you're here tonight. And so I'm really excited about what God is doing here. Like that was a powerful word by Katie this morning, and the word that was shared. There's 3 people gave their lives to the Lord this morning here at this place. I seen one of. Where is my brother? I seen him here somewhere. Where did he go? There you are, brother. Come here, quick. Thank you, Jesus. Come on. I want to get him while he's still fresh in the things of the kingdom. Yes, chasing after God. This is Chase.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
My name is Chase. Chasing God. Chasing Jesus.
Chasing Jesus.
Chasing man. Chasing Creator. Yeah.
Amen. So you made a commitment to follow the Lord this morning and got touched by the power of God.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
And so you're ready to jump in both feet
Yes,
into the kingdom activity.
He's telling me to. He's my boat, so he's like telling me like you gotta start rowing, man. You gotta start rowing. Enough
Wow.
like going in circles and like enough procrastinating. Just start rowing. I'm your boat.
Amen.
I'm there.
Amen. You need some other people to help you row, though, too. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got to all row together.
Yes.
Amen.
Exactly.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
There we go. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Chase. God bless you. Hallelujah. So, Yeah, and let's go to Acts chapter 1, verse 4 to 8. And we'll get into the Word. And what I want to talk tonight about is the activation of the Holy Spirit in our lives, but what does that look like? And what I went to Pentecostal church for quite a few years and bless them, Lord, mightily. Pray for revival with the PAOC churches in Saskatchewan and Canada in the name of Jesus. But I was taught there that one of the initial evidence of receiving the Holy Spirit is speaking in tongues. But there's a little bit more to it, and I wanted to get, we always come as Pentecostals, we can, sometimes I'm more of a charismatic Pentecostal, whatever you want to call me, but we always want to kind of create systems on how to activate the kingdom. But it's already activated, and it's in the book of Acts. We find some patterns, and we're going to look at a few of those things today. And I don't want any of us to get stuck in a rut. Amen? I for one, am one that when we're praying for people, when the Holy Spirit comes upon them, we shouldn't try to teach them how to pray in tongues. Amen? Praying in tongues, if you get filled with the Holy Spirit, is the same as breathing. Nobody had to teach me how to breathe. Amen? I got slapped as a baby, probably on the feet or whatever they used to do many years ago. You know, they turn you upside down. Ah! They don't do that anymore. But anyway, so I started breathing, right? And so when you get filled with the Holy Spirit, you start praying in tongues, and starts out slow at times. And so anyway, but there's more to this activation of the Holy Spirit than praying in tongues. Amen? So I want us to go through some of those today. I'm going to have Shelly come and join me here in a little bit. And she's going to share an experience she had many years ago. For me and Shelly, we got saved in 1991 and never got filled with the Holy Spirit until 1998. And I don't recommend people do that. Wait that long. Well, we didn't know. I didn't even know there was a Holy Spirit for that many years until I met this crazy Pentecostal guy. You might be watching tonight, Paul Morgan, my friend, my hero. If it wasn't for him, I'd probably still be in the mining industry, which was all right. It was good and everything, but this is much more exciting than the mining industry. We get to see things that nobody gets to see. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. You can work in a mine for 50 years and not see what we see in 1 year in the kingdom of God. So I met this man, and he started teaching me about the baptism of the Holy Spirit and healing and deliverance and all kinds of stuff. And he's the reason I'm here today. God puts people in your life for a very amazing reason. I thought he was crazy when he first started. I first met him. I first started working in this job with him, and he walked around smiling all the time in minus 45 below weather. We're working outside, and I just praise the Lord, hallelujah, and all that kind of stuff. But then he started showing me some scriptures. Actually, he's responsible for us going to revival in Pensacola. He went down there, and we went together with him and his wife after, and our lives began to change. So what we're going to look at here is evidence. What is the evidence of the baptism of the Holy Spirit and walking in the anointing of God? And what does it look like? And it's more than tongues, but tongues is part of it. Amen? And so Acts chapter 1, verse 4, and we're going to pray. Father, I thank you. I want to welcome also our online family right now in the name of Jesus. We want to bless you and thank you for KITV, for going on all over the world. It's amazing right now, and I thank you for that. Thank you for our time together. Thank you for your word, Father. There's no confusion in your word, Lord God. The confusion is in our minds sometimes, but there's no confusion in your word. It's always pure. It's always holy. It's always incredible. Lord, life transformational information and power and the anointing of the Holy Spirit. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Acts chapter 1 verse 4. This is after Jesus was raised from the dead. He's about ready to head back home to his throne. And verse 4 says, "And being assembled together with them, his disciples, he commanded them not to depart from Jerusalem, but wait for the promise of the Father." Amen? He told them to wait. So you think about this a little bit now. They just spent 3.5 years with him. They had been with him day and night for 3.5 years. And he would go off sometimes on prayer walks and vigils. He'd just go by himself once in a while. But for the most part, they were with him together. 3.5 years. Then they seen him die. Their hopes were dashed. It was all, man, we lost our leader. Now what? Can you imagine how they felt when they seen? They didn't understand. They tell him, I'm going to die, but don't worry, I'll be back in 3 days. But they couldn't understand it. They couldn't comprehend it because Jesus actually had to come and blow on them after, and so that they could they could get the understanding of the word of the Lord. And plus, so 3.5 years on earth, they seen him die, comes back to life. They spend 40 days hanging out, and he's teaching them things pertaining to the kingdom of God in his resurrected form. But yet, at the same time, he says that's not enough. Whew. That's not enough. There's more coming. So you have to go wait. And it's not for the promise. He says he promised the promise. Amen. It was the promise. It's not the promises of God. This is the promise. Amen. Wait for the promise of the Holy Spirit. And so, but wait for the promise of the Father, which he said, "You have heard from me. For John truly baptized with water, but you shall be baptized with the Holy Spirit not many days from now." Therefore, when they had come together, they asked him, saying, "Lord, will you at this time restore the kingdom of Israel?" And he said to them, "It's not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father has put in his own authority." In other words, he's saying it's none of your business. He said, "But you shall receive the Holy Spirit. You shall receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you shall be witnesses to me in Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth." Amen? He says, you shall become what? My witness. My witness. To be a witness means that you become a messenger for Jesus. Amen? So that's what he's telling him. You got to wait before you start a denomination. Wait for the promise of the Holy Spirit. If everybody would just heeded this word, we wouldn't have denominations right now. We'd have the Church of Jesus Christ going all over the world in Jesus' name. Amen? And so you become a messenger for Jesus. When the power of God comes upon you, you'll become a messenger for Jesus, proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom. That's it. Amen? So sometimes we think we need to develop a system in order to do what God has called us to do. But all we need to do is follow the leading of the Holy Spirit. And I'm going to go through a lot of examples in the book of Acts today. Well, not a lot, but enough to get us on the right track, to get us focused on really what is that baptism of the Holy Spirit. What is the anointing of God? And how do we do what God called us to do? We just need to follow His leading. There are many examples in the book of Acts that show us how God operates through the Holy Spirit. The infilling of the Holy Spirit comes in many different forms and shapes. It's just not locked down to your experience. Sometimes religion causes us to believe that, it's my experience that counts, and then everybody else has to fit into that box. That's what a denomination is. Somebody in a denomination had an experience with God and decided that was the only experience that there is. But there's more than that. Amen? So I was saying we got saved in 91, got filled with the Holy Spirit in 98 in Pensacola, Florida. So like as I was going to mention too, also, if you want to take your time and be a miserable person, just take your time in being a miserable person. Because there was lots of misery in those first 7 years. Because I knew that God saved me, set me free, but I was always told, this is it. You're going to heaven. That's all you need to worry about. Don't get so hung up on everything. Don't be so miserable, and just be happy that you're going to heaven. But it was like I couldn't be happy with that. I wanted to do something on the earth. Amen. And I remember pastors telling me that, said, Terry, just calm down. All that stuff, that healing and all that. I said, but he transformed me. He changed my life. Like the first 2 years, I was on fire, but I didn't have the baptism of the Holy Spirit. I could lead people to Christ, but I didn't know how to keep them in the kingdom. Amen. And that's a lot of pressure. If you got to disciple somebody and you're responsible to keep them in the kingdom, whereas when they get the Holy Spirit, you're not responsible for them. Amen? The best discipleship you could ever do is get somebody filled with the Holy Spirit. Amen? Because He is the counselor that everybody needs, right? Amen? I'm a terrible counselor. People say, Pastor Terry, do you counsel? No, I don't. But I will introduce you to the counselor. Amen? And he will counsel you into all truth. Amen? That's why my phone doesn't ring 24 hours a day, because people are connected to the counselor. Amen? Hallelujah. There's pastors that are burning out because they're going to spend all their time on the telephone because somebody is needing some counsel, which is all right. I'm not against counselors, but I just prefer the counselor. Amen? He's good, and I recommend that all counselors find out who that counselor is so that their counsel can become effective and lasting. Amen? So anyway, 91 to 98, lots of stuff, lots of frustration in there. I remember just banging my head against them, there's got to be more. I can't find anything more. And when you cry for more, even if it takes 7 years, the Lord's going to give you more. Amen? Because I think I was so immature in the things of God that God says, no, you're not ready. You're not ready. You're not ready. So I had to do a lot of repenting and stuff. But I got filled with the Holy Spirit in 1998 in Pensacola, Florida. My wife was with me. She made me mad because she got filled first. That kind of, maybe that's why it took 7 years to get filled with the Holy Spirit. I was jealous that she got filled with the Holy Spirit, because we went to Pensacola and she didn't want to go there. So we don't need to go there. We can get that right here. I said, we ain't getting it here. You look it around. It's not happening here. We're around good people, great people, awesome people, but it wasn't happening. So Shelley, the last night we were in this revival in Pensacola, gets filled with the Holy Spirit. And I was ticked off. Shelley, come and share what happened. Amen. She didn't know I was ticked off. I was hiding my emotions. I was just grinding my teeth in the Spirit.
Okay, so this is the raw version of what I was feeling. So, for 7 years, it was moving to Ontario and living in a big log home of my dreams, which turned out to be a money pit.
Nightmare.
Yes, and we moved out of there, moved onto an island with 5 kids, and it was like wonderland to them.
For children.
For children, and they would just go and explore and get into who knows what.
I don't even want to know.
Yeah, so I would do a lot of bargaining. I was doing a lot of bargaining with God. God, just help us with our finances. Help me with my kids. Help me with my husband that wants more, and I'm sure there is no more. There's just, we come to know the Lord, and that's good. Everything's good. And so I would always bargain with the Lord. So I'd tell him to do something, and then I would do something for him. And he never came through on my timeline. So I'd just say, nah, forget that. I'll just forget it. And then one day Terry came home and said we were going to this revival in Pensacola. And I just thought, okay, I'll go to Florida. But this church stuff, I don't need this revival because I'm fine right where I'm at. I didn't want to change anything. I wanted to live my life and do what I wanted to do. and God was there, right? He wasn't really here. He was over there because he wasn't doing what I was asking him because it wasn't on my time, right? So anyway, we went to Pensacola. Really didn't want to have anything to do with the services. I went because he wanted me to go. So I was the obedient wife, and I went with him. And so we get there. There's 2,000 people at a prayer meeting. I about flipped my wig, which I don't wear one anymore. I tried that. It's not good. Anyway, so we went to the prayer time, and all these people were speaking in tongues, and like the noise, the chatter was just like
A roar.
yes, it was like it was more chatter for me. It was a roar for him, but for me it was like chatter, get me out of here. I don't want to be here. I just don't want any part of this. And
I'll just show you what she did to me at that moment. I'm standing there like this, and like it shocked me too because it was like an explosion. And she goes like this, "What's going on here?" I said, "I don't know, but what they got, I want."
and I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want that. So we go home that night. We go to bed. We get up the next morning. We get backdoor pass. We don't even have to stand with the crowd for 7-10 hours. Everybody's standing in the hot heat, and we go around the back of the church and get in. Like, what's that, right?
Yeah. And
Like
we,
God-
we weren't pastors either.
No,
We were like,
no, we're nobodies.
we
We're just a bunch of hicks from Ontario.
Hicks from
Islanders.
the sticks.
I want to be Islanders.
Islanders, yeah. We were Islanders.
We lived on an island. Anyway, the next day, we went to church in the evening, and I just thought, okay, let's see what this is all about. So they're all singing, and there's no words anywhere.
No
There's
scream.
no overheads, nothing. They're just singing. Everybody knows the
2,500
songs.
people, yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows the songs, and I'm just going, yeah, and I don't want to be here. I don't. And there was people like shaking and moving around and yelling and screaming and people on the floor, and it was just like, what is going on here? And so then that night, was that the night you wanted to get filled?
Yeah, baptism of the Holy
Oh,
Spirit.
yeah, so
they
that-
asked if
yeah.
anybody wanted the baptism of the Holy Spirit.
We go line up on the side of the church. So I get dragged. Let's
Come
go.
on, woman.
Yeah. Let's go get that baptism. So I just thought, oh, okay, I'll follow after him. So we went through these corridors to the music room where a whole bunch of people stood in a line, and they came along, and they started at one end, and I came right to the end. I just didn't want what they were giving. And everybody they started speaking in tongues, they fell on the floor, they started crying, everything was going on, and I just thought, no, they're not touching me. They got to Terry, and my heart is just like pounding, and they came, and they were just about to touch me, I fell on the floor. I thought, whew, missed that one.
She faked it.
Yeah, I faked it. Anyway, that night was over. So did you feel anything that night? Did you get touched?
Yeah, I got hit, but I couldn't keep it.
Right. Whatever that means.
Just bounce off me, like I'd feel its power come upon me, and then just like a rubber ball, gone.
So then the next day, that afternoon, we kind of walked down the street. Nobody's walking. It's 80 degrees, but nobody's walking because it's too cold for them. And it's like boiling hot.
It's just melting.
Yeah, and they're wearing like fur coats in their air-conditioned vehicles with hats on, and I just thought, wow. Anyway, so then that afternoon, we just said to each other, let's just see what the Lord has for us tonight. Because something was stirring in me. I could feel I felt very unsettled. I just couldn't grasp.
This was the last night of the revival meetings.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So then,
we were going to be there. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we went to church and sang the songs. They sang the songs, and I just listened. And then evangelist Steve Hill came and he preached every night, but he came up and he just had a message. It was called "You Must Do," and sometimes in those 7 years I didn't tell the truth. No, I mean I didn't lie. I just half told the truth. And I just was bargaining so much with the Lord, and just, you know, like when things didn't work out, I'd make up something. Like it was just like I lived a really lukewarm life. And God really just showed me that message, just convicted me. And I couldn't even wait till Steve Hill gave the call. I felt this big finger in my back saying, "Get to the front." And I just went to the front. Nobody was even.
It wasn't my finger either, by the way.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely not thinking about her at all at that moment.
No. It was like very convicting, and I just went to the front, fell on my face on the altar, and just wailed and cried and let it all out. And then I got up. Everybody was at the altar then. He gave the altar call. And then I didn't even care where he was. I was just like, I am going. I need now what these people have. And so Steve Hill came off the stage, came directly to me, prayed for me. I felt my knees like kind of give out like that. And then he just left and went on to the next person. And I just got off there kind of were stairs. And I got off the first stair and I came back down, and these two little women from Alabama, I just think back and I think, I don't know. I just thought, these women are something else. They just go, "You just stand here and just wait for the presence of the Lord, and the Holy Spirit will come." And like it was their voices. I was just like, "Who are you?" But I just kind of closed my eyes because I thought I gotta stay focused. And they just said, "Just wait for the Lord. Just wait. Let people pray for you." So then that's what I did. I just stood there and waited for people to pray for me, and I moved around, and I saw Pastor Kilpatrick. He was the pastor of the church. He was way on the other side. So then I went over to closer to him, and I thought, I'm just gonna wait. Maybe he'll come and just maybe touch me, and I'll get filled then. But I didn't want the tongues. I wanted to be filled, but I didn't want the tongues. So he
bargaining again.
Yeah. So then I knew he was coming down the stairs, so I just shut my eyes. I was right at the front of the like here.
The altar?
Yeah, the altar.
Platform.
Yeah, the platform. And he was coming down, so I shut my eyes, put my hands up in the air. And the next thing I knew, this lady was saying, "Ma'am, ma'am, ma'am," and I my hands must have been up in the air, and I slapped myself in the face, and I woke myself up, and I was at the back of the church, and all the people in the aisle were laying down. Yeah. And I just thought, how in the world did I get back here when I was way in the front? Like I was it was at least this length, maybe even further.
Oh, way further.
Yeah.
The church was massive.
Yeah, and the back doors were like those doors that swing. So if she wouldn't have told me, I would have went flying right through those doors.
Into the foyer.
Yeah, so then I was, and the experience I had was I was in a river, and it was over my head, and I felt so clean because the Holy Spirit was rushing through me. That's why it's so important to be baptized and then get filled with the Holy Spirit at the same time. But in the spiritual, I was in this river that wasn't there, but it cleaned me so pure that my heart was just exploding in my chest. And then I came to, and I just was looking for Terry. Where is he? Where is he? I just couldn't wait to tell him, I got it.
She did.
So when we got back to Red Lake, Ontario, onto the island that we lived on, Mackenzie Island, I couldn't stop singing. I sang the song that this young girl sang, The Mercy Seat. And everybody, the kids would go to school, Terry would go to work. I would sing the whole day in my living room, dancing around, singing. And then the Lord just said, hey, like, you really just have to just show some evidence. And I just thought, I don't want to speak in those tongues because it's just not, I just don't want it. And I had such bad sores in my mouth, like those canker sores, and oh, they were just so painful. And the Lord said, just go into your bedroom and just pray. Pray to me. And so that's what I did. I went into the bedroom, I knelt on the floor, and I started praying, and all of a sudden, this tongue came out. And once I got off the floor from praying, all my canker sores in my mouth were healed. Gone.
Amen.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
It was something. And then the Lord just showed me living by the Spirit's power. Yeah. So I advise you to live according to your new life in the Holy Spirit. Then you won't be doing those sinful nature craves, right? I wasn't craving those old things anymore. I wasn't craving on the bargaining and what was going on. God was actually just giving me the fruits of the Spirit. And we know when the Holy Spirit controls our lives, He produces the kind of fruit in us, the love, the joy, the peace, the patience, the kindness, the goodness, the faithfulness, the gentleness, and the self-control. And that's ongoing. So from 1998 till now, man, the growth, what the Lord has done when you get filled. Also heard a message from Pastor Kilpatrick about maybe 3-4 weeks ago. He said, in this day and age, you can't be without the Holy Spirit anymore. You need the Holy Spirit daily.
That's right.
Even just every minute of the day.
Just to survive.
Yes, and when Terry said about the counselor, he said that when your mind starts wandering, start praying in the tongues, because then the Holy Spirit will counsel you. And the mental health that the enemy tries to control your mind, then you counteract it with your speaking in tongues, because that edifies our spirit within us, and it gets us into that right frame of mind of what the Lord thinks of it. It's not what the world or what we think we are. It's what the Holy Spirit is telling us. So speaking in tongues is very important in this day and age. Very important. Very important.
Amen.
And it's just, who cares? Who cares what people think of you? You know, people are going to sense that the Holy Spirit is on you by how you smile. Just go into a store and see how many people are smiling.
None.
Not very many. You go into Costco, I just smile even more. I just say, hi, how are you doing? And they just look at me like, ugh. And they just take their card. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
You know, like they're just, ugh.
Especially
Anyway.
with the cost of everything.
Yeah, yes. So, yeah.
Amen?
Is that good?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, good. Good job. My experience was a little different. So that night when we met at midnight in the center of the church, I don't even know where I went. I was all over the place. I got prayer about 20 times. And like I said before, every time I got prayer, the power of God would hit me. I hit the floor so many times. Like, I don't even know why I wasn't sore, because most of the time there wasn't catchers. Yeah. The first time when Pastor Kilpatrick came off the platform at the same time as Steve Hill went for, we found out later, at the same time, Steve Hill prayed for Shelley. She was the first person that Steve prayed for, Pastor Steve, and then Pastor Kilpatrick was the first person that he prayed for me. So he came straight for me, he laid hands on me, and we shot away from each other like about 20 feet, backpedaling. There was catchers behind me and catchers behind the pastor. They were like both of us are backpedaling. And so then he comes back, he goes, woo! He says, I want more of that. So he comes up, he prays on me again, and we both battle backwards, and He says, whoa, I can tell it's Saturday night. And I'm thinking, what the hell is that supposed to mean? It's like, I'm sorry for the word, but it's like, it's what I said. What does that mean? And so that night, I was so disappointed because I got prayed for by everybody. I felt wind in the altar. Wind blowing. My hair was longer than it is right now. It was blowing my hair, and I was smelling this fragrance, but I can't receive anything. I think I must be demon-possessed. Which probably was true. But anyway, so anyway, Shelly she comes up and hugs me, and squeezed me really hard, and her heart's just like, I could feel it. I got it. I go, good for you, girl. Man, and I'm like jealous. This is the condition I was in. So to think you need to be perfect before you get the Holy Spirit is not true. I'm jealous, I'm mad, and all I'm thinking about, I spent a lot of money coming down here, spending a week here, and I'm going to go home with nothing. But she gets something, and she didn't even want to be here. So I'm thinking, wow, what a waste of time. And man, God is merciful. He could have just said, okay, that's it for you. I'm done with you. And to be honest, I thought he was. When this couple come up and I haven't started preaching yet. But when that couple come up, this couple comes up to us at 12:30 a.m. in the morning and says, "You guys want to go out for something to eat?" Well, might as well. I'm not the least bit tired. And so we go to the drive to Shoney's restaurant. And you think there's going to be no people. There's a lineup of people because all the people from the revival, like the economy in that revival, like it was nuts. The restaurants just thrived because everybody was going out late night, eating, having big meals, and get to this restaurant, and we had to get a number. So I'm thinking, oh wow, we got to get a number, and the foyer is packed. We're never going to get in here. And actually, I want to tell you one more thing too. This is where my mental condition was. When we were driving to that restaurant, we went on an overpass, and I'm in the back seat. Shelly and I are in the back seat with this couple. They're driving, and I'm thinking in my mind, just stop on this overpass, because God's done with me, and I might as well be done. I want to jump off. I want to jump off. I want to die. That's where I was. I was like so desperate to get touched by the Lord. We go to this restaurant, stand in line. Many of you heard this story before. Stand in line. And when we're in the line, Madeline Smith started talking to me, the lady, Madeline and Gary Smith. We went with them for supper. We met them down there. And Madeline's asked me questions. I just really feel that you got to, they're from Mobile, Alabama. I really feel you got to call God in your life. And says, is that accurate, Terry? I said, yeah, I thought I did, but now that I came here, I just don't, I don't think I'm worthy. And she looks at me, she says, worthy? What are you talking about? Nobody's worthy. He makes us worthy. And as soon as she said that, I got hit in the back of the neck with a lightning bolt. And I did not know what it was. I'm not Pentecostal. Never experienced anything up till then. Like, I experienced salvation, and it was real. It changed my life. But this was like, what was that? And then she asked me another question, and I answered it again, and I got smacked, and this one buckled my knees. And I said, is that coming from you? And she says, I don't know what you're talking about. And then the server comes and says, your table's ready. So we go to the table and sit down, and as soon as I sat down, bang, like liquid fire started coming in over an hour. I shook under the power of God in a restaurant for over an hour. I never ordered anything. I had a sip of water. That was it. And the waitress said, is he okay? And Shelly says, yeah, you'll be all right. And then Madeline says, I heard her. I could hear everything around me, but I couldn't talk. I could hear everything, and I couldn't open my eyes because my eyes were like a lead. And Madeline says, does he get like this quite often? And Shelly says, I've never seen this before in my life. So it was that kind of night, and we went home and went to our they took us to our hotel room. We prayed in that hotel room till 5 o'clock in the morning, and we could not get it. As soon as we looked at each other, we'd all just fall it's like dominoes. And finally at 5 a.m., Madeline says, "We got to go home. We got to be at church." They had an hour drive home, and they had to be back in Pensacola by 10 a.m. We got to go home. We got to go home. We got to get out of here. And don't touch us. Just leave us. Just stay where you are right now. Don't make a move. Remember that? You remember how noisy it was in that room? I would swear the police were going to come because it was noisy. It was crazy. I don't know where all the noise was coming from. And I thought, pretty soon the cops are going to come. And the people that we went to, they didn't come with us for supper, but they missed the experience. They were in the room next door. Next morning, I said, "Did you hear us?" No, we never heard a thing. But I went to bed 5 o'clock in the morning. I woke and I was instantly sleeping, which never happens to me. And I woke up at 6, just ready to go. Hey, baby, let's do something. And then I got Paul. We went for breakfast, but I've never been the same since. So I asked the Lord. We got home the following week, and we're in Red Lake, and I was on afternoon shift, so everybody was gone in the house. I was just getting ready to go to work about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I went at 2, had a shower, going to go to work, and I asked the Lord, I said, why? Why in a restaurant? Why would you fill me in a restaurant? I'm in a church where the power of God is like surging. People are getting changed, transformed, like thousands, millions of people have been there by then. 3.4 million people had been through there, or 3.5 or 8 or whatever it was. And the Lord spoke to me. He says, "Terry, I did it the way I did it because I wanted you to know that the power comes from me, that it doesn't come from a man." And it was just like, that was as simple as it was. And I go, wow. That was crazy. Because it was a different experience. So, anyway, that's how it is, though. It was different for Shelley. It was different for me. It's different. It's going to be, you're going to have different encounters with God. So we do this to encourage you that there's more. Amen. Even if you've been filled with the Holy Spirit already, there's more fillings, and I'll prove it in the Word of God. And there's so many different examples in the book of Acts. There's in chapter 2, chapter 4, and chapter 10, there are 3 fillings of the Holy Spirit without anybody laying hands on anybody. I was one of that. I didn't have anybody laying hands on me when the power of God, and neither Shelley. Shelley was really unique too. Like how did she get? And that church was it was at least twice as long as this one, the sanctuary. And so she ended up from here to there, and there's bodies laying all over in the path, in the wake of where she went through. But it says in Acts chapter 2, verse 1 to 4, it says, "When day of Pentecost had fully come, they were all with one accord in one place, and suddenly there came a sound from heaven as a rushing mighty wind, and it filled the whole house where they were sitting. And there appeared to them divided tongues as fire, and one sat upon each of them. And they were filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in other tongues, as the Spirit gave utterance." So I just put this message together this afternoon. I was going to work on it tomorrow for Wednesday. So everything just kind of come together. I had an idea where I wanted to go, and I watched the message with Randy Clark, and I just seen so many things that he was talking about that I thought, wow, I want to dig into that. And I'm going to dig into it a little more so that we can know that the experience is more than one way. And Acts chapter 4, verse 31, it says, "And when they prayed, the place where they were assembled together was shaken, and they were filled with the Holy Spirit." Nobody laying hands on it again. The place was shaken, and they spoke the word of God with boldness. Amen? So they didn't speak in tongues. This is the same group that was in the upper room where the fire of God come upon them. They were filled with the Holy Spirit just a few days before this, and then all of a sudden they needed another filling. It might have been a timeline in there, a couple months. It could have been a couple months or a year or whatever. But these same believers, they had to be filled with the Holy Spirit once again. Because in a lot of Pentecostal circles, they say you only got to be filled once, so then you don't have a desire for more. So I got what I need, I'm good for the rest of my life. And we wonder why we're miserable. Because there's more. If these guys needed to be filled more than once, how much more do we need to be filled? Because they experienced the Lord. They experienced the Lord face to face. Amen? And so, and they spoke the word of God with boldness. Thank you, Jesus. Evidence of being filled with the Holy Spirit is that they spoke the word of God. That was the evidence. They had tongues the first day, and now the evidence was they got filled again, and they spoke the word of God with boldness. The building shook. Hey, I want to be in one of those prayer meetings. Maybe that will happen. Praise the Lord. Amen. I want to shake. I want to feel that shaking sensation. Amen. People say, "Oh, you just need to have physical." Yes. This is the God of the universe we're dealing with. Like, how can He not touch you and feel something? Amen. I remember a guy one time to me, we're listening, and this is before I got filled with the just after I got filled with the Holy Spirit, we were sharing with some people that when we got filled with the Holy Spirit, when we got back to Red Lake, one of the guys says, "I don't know when I was filled with the Holy Spirit, but I'm filled with the Holy Spirit." You don't remember? No, I didn't feel a thing. I go, okay. I like feeling. And it's not always about feeling, but we're talking about the God of the universe touching you. Amen? I remember Steve, when he's in the back there, I remember in here the first time when Rick Curry was here, I turned around, Rick's eyes are about ready to pop right out of, Steve's eyes are about ready to pop right out of his head. The only thing that was keeping them in was the Holy Ghost. Amen? There was demons trying to escape, run, and the Holy Ghost was coming upon him. Then in Yorkton, his eyes did pop out for a while. But anyway, hallelujah. Let's go to Acts chapter 10, verse 44 to 48. It says, while Peter was still speaking these words, the Holy Spirit fell upon all those who heard the word, and those of the circumcision who believed were astonished, and as many as came with Peter, because the gift of the Holy Spirit had not been poured out on the Gentiles also, for they had heard them speak in tongues and magnify God. And Peter answered, can anyone forbid water that these should not be baptized, who have received the Holy Spirit just as we have? And he commanded them to be baptized in the name of the Lord. And they asked them to stay for a few more days. So Peter was preaching the Word of God, and the Holy Spirit had the audacity to fall in the middle of his message, even before an altar call. I'm desiring for that too. Amen? Amen. That's what I desire, that this happened today in this house. Amen? And so they were astonished that in the middle of Peter's message, the Holy Spirit fell on these Gentiles and they started speaking in tongues. Amen? And speaking in tongues, and that was one of the manifestations. The second was magnifying God, and that's what you were doing for several months after, running around the house singing, praising the Lord, and doing it in secret. But anyway, in chapters 2 and chapter 10, they were filled with the Holy Spirit. They spoke in tongues, and the people also thought they were drunk. And it wasn't because they were speaking in tongues that they thought they were drunk. We see people speaking in tongues all the way. It doesn't look like they're drunk. They visibly looked like they were drunk. They come out of that upper room and they go, ooh, they come out of the upper room and they're like, whoa, whoa. And everybody, look, they're drunk. No, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. The bars aren't even open yet. So they come out and they're like visibly looks like they're drunk. And it's one of those manifestations. Amen. The day of Pentecost had fully come. They were all in one accord, one place, and suddenly there came the sound of heaven, as I read this before. And they were filled with the Holy Spirit, began to speak in other tongues, But verse 12 and 13 says they all stood there dumbfounded and astonished, saying to one another, "What is this phenomenon?" But others poked fun at them and said, they're just drunk on new wine. Wow. One of the manifestations is you actually physically look like you're drunk. Amen? Praise the Lord. I see a few of you get like that quite often, actually. And that's good. Amen? It's time to get drunk in the Holy Ghost. Amen? Not in that slop that they make in, this stuff that they make here in our culture. I don't want to get drunk on that stuff. I had enough of that. I was blasted for too many years. And I never really ever, they could tell I was drunk and I acted like a drunk. These people were different. Amen? So, Acts chapter 19, verse 5 to 7, that says, they heard this, they were baptized in the name of the Lord Jesus. When Paul laid hands on them, the Holy Spirit come upon them, and they spoke in tongues and prophesied. Yeah. What's other evidence? Prophecy. He began to prophesy. Amen? Spoken tongues prophesies, and there was now about 12 people in all. Acts chapter 9, verse 17 and 18. Ananias went his way, entered the house. I'm going to preach on this chapter on Wednesday, and it's called Risk, the message, but this is powerful. Ananias went his way, entered to the house, and laying his hands on him, he said, "Brother Saul, the Lord Jesus, who appeared to you on the road as you came, has sent me that you may receive your sight and be filled with the Holy Spirit." Immediately there fell from their eyes something like scales, and he received his sight at once, and there arose and were baptized. Amen. So Paul was healed, saved, and filled with the Holy Spirit, and baptized with water, all in like that. Done. And then you're going to find out something amazing about that Paul immediately, after he had something to eat, immediately went and preached the gospel after that. Immediately. He had no training whatsoever with the Lord, but he got hit by the power of the Holy Spirit. And so we look at people and we look at the fruit of the person, not only the fruit of the Spirit, the love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, and all that, self-control, all those things, but the fruit affecting other people's lives because of your life. That's when we really begin to see the effect of the Holy Spirit having on us, when we can affect other people's lives. When you look back in the book of Acts, in Acts chapter 2, you see the result was Jewish people getting saved. Amen? That's what happened. They got filled with the Holy Spirit. They didn't stay in there and stay drunk. And they went out and there was 3,000 people added to the church that day and that were baptized. So that was a busy day. Imagine going to church in the morning. You've never encountered God. Like these guys encountered Jesus physically, but never spiritually like that. They had no idea what was going to happen that day. All of a sudden they get filled with the Holy Spirit, and by the end of the day, 3,000 people are added to the church. Think about that. We're going to need a stadium. Yeah. Well, you think about now, okay, they can have outdoor services there in Israel. When here in January, we ain't having outdoor services. So we need to claim that rink. Amen. We need to claim that SaskTel Center for ours. It's the body of Christ. Amen. In Acts chapter 4, I'm talking about the fruit. The fruit from people being filled with the Holy Spirit. Acts chapter 4, again, we see Jewish people being saved. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. And that's after the shaking. The building shook, it's shaking. And the Jewish people get saved. Here's what else came out of Acts chapter 4. It was Acts chapter 5, verse 12. This is after the shaking. And through the, I never give you this scripture, so forgive me. Acts chapter 5, verse 12. And through the hands of the apostles, many signs and wonders were done among the people. And they were all with one accord in Solomon's porch, yet none of the rest dared join them, but the people esteemed them highly, and believers were increasingly added to the Lord, multitudes of both men and women, so that they brought the sick out into the streets and laid them on beds and couches, that at least the shadow of Peter passing by might fall on some of them. Also a multitude gathered from the surrounding cities of Jerusalem, bringing sick people and those who were tormented by unclean spirits, and they were all healed. They were all healed. That's the result of being filled with the Holy Spirit. From Acts chapter 4, where the building was being shaken. Acts chapter 8, we see something a little different now. Half Jews, half Jewish people are being saved, which are the Samaritans. And the Jews and the Samaritans hated each other with a passion. And all of a sudden, they're getting filled with the Holy Spirit. It's like, think about that. Think about the people you despise the most. I'm not going to go and say anything more. Yeah. Just think of the political elite. Let's just say that. We just say that. We say the political elite. You despise them one day, and then the next day they're on your team. And they're filled with the Holy Spirit. In Acts chapter 10, God-fearing Gentiles are saved. All of a sudden, what? Gentiles? Gentiles and Jews, again, enemies. Born to be enemies. All of a sudden, they're giving their lives to Jesus and getting filled with the Holy Spirit. Then, Acts chapter 19, ordinary Gentile people are being saved. This is the evidence of people who are filled with the Holy Spirit. There's this tornado of spiritual activity that's taking place, and what people that were once enemies now are side by side praising the Lord, worshiping Him, and full of boldness towards God in Jesus' name. So God broke through with racial and religious prejudices by the Holy Spirit. He broke through by the Holy Spirit. Right? That's what I love, the fact that we have a small church, but we're like multicultural church. Amen? And I love that. I think that's a sign that the Holy Ghost is working. Amen? Hallelujah. And one thing I love about this too, the most, is it's young people and older people and everybody in between. Amen? So that you think of what all the stuff that's going on. Jesus is proving that the church is going to be a church of people from every race. And then everybody from every race becomes one race. Amen? Jew and Gentile together, rich and poor, sitting together, working together, advancing the kingdom of God together. Amen? You look, there's people of every walk here. And it's so powerful. So the Church of Jesus Christ is mostly going to be known by the world because of our love for one another. Amen? I just see denominations just like, everybody throwing down their sign and just saying, hey, let's do this for Jesus. That's the power of the Holy Spirit. It's the Holy Spirit. People say, well, we got to get unified with our brothers and sisters. But let the Holy Spirit work in our lives, and let the Holy Spirit work in our brothers and sisters' lives, and watch everybody come together in the name of Jesus. Amen? Hallelujah. I'm so excited. I'm going to get to go preach at Hope Fellowship here in next month, and preach on healing. I'm pumped about that. But they got some roots, man. I found out they got some roots. One of their pastors 30 years ago got touched mightily at the Toronto Blessing. Wow. And now they had a rich heritage of worship, and they still have like 5 worship teams. I'm excited about that. I got a feeling that they're probably going to teach me more than I bring to them. And I'm okay with that because I want more. I don't want to stay in the same level that we are right. I love it. I love where we are. I love what God is doing. But man, if we're going to impact the city of Saskatoon along with the rest of our brothers and sisters in Christ. Amen. Hallelujah. So anyway, get ready. Get ready, man. I'm telling you, something's happening. Ephesians, I just got a couple more portions of Scripture and then I'm done. So that's not too bad. Being imitators of God. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 1 to 4. Be imitators of God in everything you do. Then you will represent your Father as His beloved sons and daughters. And continue to walk surrendered to the extravagant love of Christ. For He surrendered His life as a sacrifice for us. His great love for us was pleasing to God like the aroma of adoration, a sweet healing fragrance. And have nothing to do with sexual immorality, lust, greed. For you are His holy ones, and let no one be able to accuse you of them in any form. Guard your speech. Forsake obscenities, worthless insults. These are nonsensical words that bring disgrace and are unnecessary. Instead, let your worship fill your heart and spill out in your words. Oh, let the worship fill your heart and spill out in your words. Woo! I'm telling you, that's the result of being filled with the Holy Spirit. That's what we need. We need the Holy Ghost. And I'm preaching to a bunch of Spirit-filled people here. But there's more. Yeah. Amen? There's more. And I don't know where this is going to take us. But I'm somewhat excited about this. This is a perpetual filling of the Holy Spirit. It wasn't Finney. What is his name? I can't remember. One of the old-time preachers of old. Spurgeon, Charles Spurgeon. That's it. Did you say that? Yeah. We're connected right there. See, Dave and I know everything. Okay. If I don't know the answer, he's got it. Amen. Yeah. And if he doesn't have the answer, I'm just kidding about that. But there's a friend of mine, he told me in Red Lake, Ontario, he was a master mechanic at McIsaac Mining. He says, yeah, me and my brother, we know everything. Yeah, he says, I said, really, everything? Yeah, everything. So he says, just ask me a question. So I asked him a question. He says, I don't know the answer to that. My brother knows that one, but he's not here. Yeah, so I thought, that's a pretty good idea. I like that. Yeah. Praise the Lord. So, okay, last portion of Scripture. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 18 to 20. And don't get drunk with wine, which is rebellion. She's tipping the back, the Holy Ghost right now. Amen? Instead, okay, I'm going to read that first part of that scripture one more time. Don't get drunk with wine, which is rebellion. And the other translations say debauchery. And if you want to know what debauchery means, it means rebellion. Instead, listen, be filled continually with the Holy Spirit. Continually. And your hearts will overflow with a joyful song to the Lord. There, Shelley, you were explaining what happened. There's an overflow. Amen. Justin talked about it this morning. An overflow. Keep speaking to each other with words of Scripture. Singing the Psalms with praises and spontaneous songs given by the Spirit. Always give thanks to the Father, God, for every person He brings into into your life, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen? Hallelujah. Be filled. Be filled. Amen? The desire that we need to have is that focus every day. Because when you're filled with the Holy Spirit, And there's moments where I lose it. And I look at people differently, but you get filled with the Holy Spirit. And all of a sudden, that person that was so irritating isn't so irritating anymore. Amen? Come, Lord. Come, Holy Spirit. Come, Holy Spirit, so we look at each other differently. Amen? How many want to drink? Drink of the Holy Ghost. Amen. You might as well get up there, Justin. Get ready. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Considering everything that went on here tonight, we got lots done. But the best is yet to come. Amen. Hallelujah. Wow. You know, usually politicians irritate me. And that really doesn't do a whole lot to advance the kingdom of God. But I remember being in Ottawa maybe earlier, February. Being in Ottawa, and I remember being in the House of Commons. Like, we went on a tour with a friend of mine, he's an MP there. And he showed us around, and man, I felt everywhere. I thought, this is so weird. I thought I was going to feel every demon, and that place is full right to the roof. I thought I'm going to feel every demon, and I just felt like the power and the presence of God everywhere I went. It was just like, what is this, Lord? He says, you talk about revival in Canada all the time. Don't you believe that I can impact Parliament? What kind of God do you think I am? Well, I'm thinking, yeah, this is crazy. Then he said to me, which shocked me, he said, if I were to set up a meeting with you and Justin Trudeau, what would you say to him? With a referee there, I'm thinking, no, by yourself. What would you say to him? Man, I was stumped because I know he's not waiting for my answer. When God asks you a question, he's not necessarily waiting for your answer. He's waiting for what he would respond. And so I waited for quite a while, and I was just thinking, well, what would I say? And all of a sudden, my heart filled with, it was the Holy Spirit just come and filled my heart. And I said, okay, I think I have it. And I think what I would say to Justin Trudeau, and if you're watching, I think I would say, the Lord has need of you. And he has a desire for you to serve him. All of your handlers that are handling you right now, they're going to desert you. And you're going to be left on the trash heap of humanity, and nobody's going to remember you. But I, the Lord, have need of you. And if you come on side with the Lord, you'll never be forgotten. In the history of my kingdom, remember the history of all the other kingdoms? There's going to be no remembrance of them at all. The only kingdom that's going to be left standing is the kingdom of God. No matter what it looks like right now. You look at all those 4 kingdoms that talk about Daniel, they're all in operation right now, I believe. All over in the whole earth. But the Lord says he's going to take this earth, he's going to take the whole planet, and his kingdom, he's going to give, remember, Terry, you sent me that scripture the other day that he's going to hand the kingdom of God over to the people. He's going to, the meek inherit the earth, right? And all of a sudden, I'm starting to wow, I got a different perspective. And so not that he doesn't make me mad when he says silly statements, but I think back to that right away. Like when Prime Minister Trudeau makes a silly statement, it's like, oh. But all it doesn't last anymore. And I go back to that thought. Father, give me an audience with him. Because you're not going to find a man that's more hated in a nation than that man right now. But yet God has a desire to see him come into the kingdom and to produce some real fruit. Like, you're thinking right now, is that possible? What we're talking about the Lord God Almighty here. Amen? And I'm talking about, like, if we're going to see the greatest awakening in the nation of Canada, in the history of our nation, but it's going to affect the whole world. So that stuff has to happen. So Romy, you were criticized for praying for politicians. You were the only one that had the courage to do so and to go forth with what you have done with perseverance. I commend you for that. And there's a reward in heaven. Like, think of that. He's going around dedicating cities to the Lord, and nobody knows and nobody cares. But God does. That's my city. Amen? What year did you dedicate Saskatoon to the Lord?
16 with Mayor Hutchison.
What year?
2016.
2016?
Body of Christ, 2015 there.
Okay.
During the March petitions.
Sure.
I own the microphone. I tried the Body of Christ to dedicate the city.
Amen. 2015.
Yeah, that was September 12, 2015.
September 12th, 2015. This guy's like a machine. He remembers dates like everything is written down. So this city's already dedicated. Now we just got to do our work. I thought about this Project 2028, and some people's thinking, well, what if it doesn't happen? It means we never executed properly. Never executed the plan of God properly. Amen? So every one of us needs to be filled with the Holy Spirit, where nobody's left out. And you want to talk about a city full of people filled with the Holy Spirit, a city of joy. There's never been anything seen like it on planet Earth since, ever. Amen. They fell too quick in the Garden of Eden to ever try it out, but it was God's plan. God's plan to have a city of people, nations of people that are full of the Holy Spirit. His plan right from the beginning was for the children of Israel to be a nation of priests. Right from the beginning. And they said, no, we don't want that. But now he's called us to be a chosen generation, right? Amen? We are a chosen generation, a nation of priests, a kingdom of priests. In Jesus' name, where everybody is considered a priest unto God. What does a priest do? Serves God. And what do you do? How does that work? You serve God by serving a hurting humanity and bringing Christ in his fullness. Bringing healing in Jesus' name. Whew. I don't know, this is sinking in, I think, tonight. So I'm so glad you came out, but let's respond to God tonight. Let's just come to the altar. I'm not going to point anybody out. If you've never given your life to Christ, I'll give you the opportunity to do so later. If you want to give your life to Christ, just say so. Like, come to me later and say, I want to get right with God. But for now, I want us to experience the fullness of the Holy Spirit. And whatever happens here tonight, we're not forcing anything. But if you want more of God, let's come together, because I don't know about you, but I'm hungry for God. Amen? Let's stand to our feet. We're going to worship the Lord, and I want you to come and let's get more. Amen? There's more. Activation of the Holy Spirit tonight in the name of Jesus. Activate. Come on. Come on, everybody. Just begin to cry out to God. Cry out to God right now in the name of Jesus. We're going to pray for people too right away. We're going to lay hands on people in the name of Jesus. Just move up. Come up. Everybody's coming. Move up. Move up. Praise the Lord. Amen. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Yes, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Remember this night, March 17th, 2024. Thank you, Jesus. Set your mind on the Lord right now. Set your mind on, you imagine that upper room. When they're up in the upper room, we don't have 120 people here tonight. I don't know how many people are here. But that 120 people got filled with the Holy Spirit, and that same day, they had 3,000 people added to the church. In one day. And God is doing greater things these days, right now, in Jesus' name. So just set your mind on the Lord right now. Set your mind on the Lord, in Jesus' name. Thank you, Lord. Is the sound system on for the band? Just begin to cry out to God right now. Hallelujah. Begin right now. We're waiting on the Lord right now in the name of Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Thank you, Jesus. Don't get frustrated. Just keep pressing in. We press. You got a word? Can I have that mic? That other mic? Thank you, Jesus. Come on. Michelle's got a word. Just keep pressing in right now. Keep pressing in right now in Jesus' name. Hallelujah. 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 Thank you, Jesus. Come, Michelle. Come up here. Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.
Check. Is this on? Yeah, we're good.
Thank you, Father. With the word, what's his name? Is that a pastor? The word that he...
Romy, pastor, a bishop. Bishop Romy.
Okay, so the word that Bishop said about Saskatchewan, about the anointing, that the Lord attached to that anointing, part of that anointing, I feel that he's saying is the breaker anointing.
Amen.
Where it says in Micah 2:13, the breaker, and that's the Messiah who opens the way, shall go up before them, liberating them. They will break out, pass through the gate, and go out. So their king goes on before them, the Lord at their head. And when he was speaking that word, oh Lord, let me say the right words here. That the Lord is wanting to release that breaker anointing here tonight for the ones that will receive it. Because, as Pastor Terry was talking about, when he was going on the bridge and he wanted to, to essentially take his life, when he was talking about Justin Trudeau and just, the mess that all of that is. And the Lord just put upon my heart that he wants a breaker anointing to be released here tonight.
Yes.
That through his people, we have the power to change huge things that I don't think we've believed before that we could change, but that through the words of his holy ones, the ones who have dedicated themselves, and it's not perfect, but has dedicated themselves to him, that through our words, through the authority, that we will be, I don't want to say the first ones, but we will be in the forefront of breaking things in the Spirit.
Yes, Lord.
That we will come together. That we will come together in unity. We will come together as one. And with love for our government. With love that we go forth and we speak in authority. We speak in authority and we start to break. We start to break the bondage. We start to break the demonic principalities. And I see this breaker anointing going to the ones here. And it's for, yes, the individual that you will pray and some of you will break off bondages that people have been in, and they will be standing somewhere. And just like Shelley was saying, you know, when she was hit by the Holy Spirit, she started somewhere and then she ended up somewhere else in a matter of a couple seconds. And that through your words, with your words, you can do that for someone else. That the Lord is calling you to do that for someone else. That they need you. They need you. He's using you. That He's using you on an individual basis to do that for somebody else. And then it will go further. It will go further, and it will go to towns and to groups of people and to our city. That if we are faithful to believe that we can change the atmosphere, we can change, we can come against the demonic.
Yes.
Without fear. We can stand up and speak. We can use our words to partner with the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
That we will see change. We will see breaking. We will see breaking in the spirit realm, and then we will see breaking in the natural. Yes, Father. So with my words, Lord, for the hands that are raised up, Father, that are wanting to receive this breaker anointing, that are serious, that are ready to get serious in a different way with you, that don't just read your word and then go on to the next one and the next one, but Father, that they believe what you are actually saying in your word.
Yes, Lord.
That we are equipped, that you have actually given us the authority. You have actually given us the authority. And you are in anticipation, waiting for us to step out into it. That you have given us authority over everything on earth. Father, I release that now in the mighty name of Jesus.
Yes, Lord.
I release your anointing that you so freely give to the ones who will receive. Help them open up their minds. Help them open up their souls. Help them open up their hearts, Father, to you. This will be a defining moment, Father, in their walk with you, where they will start to read the Word of God. They will start to read the Word, and they will believe what they read. They will believe, Father, and activation will come. Activation will come to them, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, for so graciously giving to the ones who will receive. Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Jesus. Let's before we go any further, let's repent for our nation. Let's stand in the gap for our nation. I'm gonna repent. I'll lead us in a prayer in Jesus' name. We stand in behalf of the nation of Canada, and we ask you, Lord, to forgive us. Come on. Just say, Lord, forgive us. Forgive us as a nation for turning our backs on you. Forgive us as a church for turning our backs on Canada. In Jesus' name, I ask you to forgive us. Change us. Fill us with your Holy Spirit. Put love in our nation. Put love in our hearts, for our nation. In Jesus' name. Father, let us pour out the love that you have for our land. And forgive us, Lord. Forgive me, Lord, for cursing our nation. We repent. We speak life over our nation. Canada shall be saved. Canada shall be filled with the glory of the Lord. From sea to sea, from the river to the ends of the earth. In Jesus' name, we declare this in the mighty name of Jesus. We love our nation because you love our nation. Father, right now, I pray there would be major revival in all the houses of parliament, federal, provincial, municipal, city, towns, everywhere, Lord. In Jesus' name. Come, Holy Spirit. Fill us now. Start here. Start now. Equipping us, Lord God. In the name of Jesus. Fill us with your Holy Spirit so that we can proclaim the Word of God with boldness. In Jesus' name. Amen. 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 Okay, now we're going to start praying for people here. We're going to start praying for the anointing and impartation come from the Holy Spirit. In the name of Jesus. Kansas, can you make your way to me? Help me out. Hallelujah. Elisha's going to be praying. Brent, you're going to be praying. And the girls, whoever on the prayer team, you know who you are. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. Don't miss this now. Don't miss this. We're going to pray for the fire of God to come. In the name of Jesus. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. I don't see in the book of Acts, in Acts chapter 4, the building was shaken and the people were strengthened. The people were solidified in the kingdom of God. Romy, I want you to pray for people too. You get your son to catch for you. Or Father, you want to catch for Romy? Yeah, his son needs a touch. Hallelujah. And so, if you don't fall down, it's not a requirement in the law. Amen? The requirement is to receive. Amen. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Let's worship the Lord as we're doing this. Let's celebrate the fact that He's doing something here with us right now. If you have never received the Holy Spirit, God's going to do something in your life right now. And if you have received the Holy Spirit, He's going to give you more. Father, right now, come right here, right there. There it is. There it is. There it is.